What is going on, ladies and gents? Welcome to VeVe Investments. On today's episode, we're talking about David's recent announcement with Alibaba Cloud. So we're talking about who they are, we're talking about what do they do, we're talking about what an MOU is, what an MOI is, as well as a couple other things. So if you guys are interested in finding out what those things are, make sure to stay tuned. We discuss it all in this episode. So this past week, we had an announcement made that I think there should be way more attention on, and that is Alibaba's recent MOU with VeVe. Now, before we do get into all of that, we do actually have a new country joining the GCU. So we're heading to the land of chupacabras and cowboys, ladies and gents, to Mexico. So we have the Mexican Mauler, and he is going to be joined by the Salsa Savior. So the Mexican Mauler comes from Aztec roots, whereas the Salsa Savior grooves through battles with his salsa dancing superpower. So these two are going to be available in store during the time of this video dropping. So if you guys are interested in grabbing those, you can do so using the link down below. But with regards to today's episode, there's going to be 10 points we're discussing. So let's hop right into the first one. So this past week, we had these photos start to pop up on David's socials. And as you guys can see on the right hand side there, it is going to be David standing alongside a representative from Alibaba Cloud, each with their own copy of the memorandum. We have a couple other photos there with David and some other team members from Alibaba. And then he captioned these photos saying, looking forward to new partnerships and access into the wider Asian community. So the first thing we'll discuss is who is Alibaba Cloud. So they provide cloud computing infrastructure and services to support businesses' digital transformation and to enable them to operate efficiently in the cloud. They focus on delivering scalable, secure, and reliable cloud services to meet the growing demands of enterprises, developers, and governments. Now, one thing I want to be very clear about here, okay? We're not talking about Alibaba Group as an entire company, okay? Alibaba Group is primarily an e-commerce company. They're one of the largest e-commerce companies in the entire world, and I believe the largest in all of Asia. Alibaba Cloud operates independently. So they're still associated with Alibaba Group, but they function as a separate business unit. Alibaba Cloud leverages the group's experience and technological expertise to provide cloud services, but they operate as a distinct entity and they're dedicated to cloud computing and related services. So again, we're not talking about Alibaba Group as the entire company. That would be the equivalent of talking about Amazon as a whole company, which, by the way, I'm pretty sure Alibaba Group is the largest competitor to Amazon. So I mentioned how the group is going to be one of the largest e-commerce companies in the entire world, but Alibaba Cloud is going to rank third place for cloud computing service providers with the most market share worldwide. They have the most market share in Asia. They have the most market share in China specifically, as you see on the right-hand side, but they currently rank third globally. Now, up until this point in the video, we've been saying the word cloud a lot. Cloud computing, cloud services. And so before we dive any deeper into this video, I want to break down exactly what the cloud is for those who may not know. So the cloud is going to be a network of remote servers that are hosted on the internet, and they're used to store, manage, and process data or applications. Now, these servers can be located on the user's local machines or on-site infrastructure, or they can be maintained by a service provider. So in this case, that's exactly what we're talking about with Alibaba Cloud. So what are cloud services? So they involve delivering computing resources over the internet on a pay-as-you-go basis. So instead of a company like VeVe having to own or maintain their own physical infrastructure, servers, storage devices, things like that, they can actually access and use resources through a cloud service provider like Alibaba Cloud. Now, these types of services are going to offer several different advantages, okay, ranging from scalability to security. But these are also going to be things we dive deeper into later on in the episode. Now, we saw David standing under a banner that said Memorandum of Understanding. So what is an MOU? It's going to be a written document that outlines the terms and understandings between two or more parties who intend, that's the key word here, to work together or collaborate on a particular project or venture. It serves as a preliminary agreement or a starting point for further negotiations and discussions. So nothing is set in stone. This is not a legally binding contract, but what it does is it demonstrates the intention between Alibaba and VeVe to pursue a common goal, and that goal would be outlined in that memorandum. So this is in no way them sitting down and saying, hey, we're going to work together. But by them signing this MOU, they are saying that they have the intention or want to work together. So if they haven't signed a legally binding contract, then what comes next? Okay. And that's where we start to talk about what's called an MOI, or a Memorandum of Intent. So this is going to be a more specified agreement between the parties, and it would signify a stronger commitment to reaching a common goal. Now, similar to the MOU, the MOI will not be legally binding either. It's simply a second step leading up to that final contract. Now, speaking of the final contract, I'm pretty sure both parties would then enter a formal agreement that would be legally binding, and then this agreement would specify the rights, obligations, responsibilities, all the things that both parties would need to know about the partnership in greater detail. And considering the fact that it would be legally binding, the two companies would then be able to say, okay, yes, we are actively working together. So I mentioned that right now, Alibaba Cloud is ranked 3rd for global market share. They are going to be ranked number 1 in Asia and China, though. So talking about the presence that they have over in Asia, they have data centers that are located in various countries across Asia. This is going to include China, Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, India, and more. And with these data centers being placed where they are, their localized presence allows them to provide low latency, high performance cloud services to businesses in Asia, aka Akomi / VeVe, Singapore. And then in China specifically, Alibaba is particularly dominant, being one of the leading cloud providers catering to both domestic and international customers. So VeVe has just introduced Japanese as a language for localization on the app. David has mentioned a couple times in community update videos now that we can expect more Japanese brands. He's also mentioned multiple times in the past that we have an eager fan base in Japan waiting to get onto the app. I know Japan is not China, but my point is that there's clearly a focus on the Asian markets. Yes, it's taken some time, and it's probably still going to, but it's photos and it's trips like this that show you that they're still working hard to make it happen. I can't name one project in the space right now that is building strategically the way that VeVe is. And I'll also say this, from a marketing standpoint, I've seen some people make the comment of, oh, another announcement under the radar. They didn't really, promote it too much and this and that. I'm actually glad that they didn't, because, I think a lot of people can agree with me that over the past few weeks, we've started to see activity on the app start to increase. We saw the bullish news come out with BlackRock and Bitcoin. We've seen the Disney patents get digged up. Momentum seems to be increasing, but I'd much rather have those announcements being made when we're actually in the bull market, not when we're leading up to it. The question isn't, if we announce a large brand, are we going to attract new users? When VeVe announced Disney, they attract new users. When they announced Star Wars, they attracted new users. When they announce another large company, they're going to attract new users. The thing with marketing is timing is everything. So it's not if we're going to attract new users, it's how many more users can we attract by promoting this bit of news during this time, as opposed to promoting that same bit of news during a time where sentiment in the market is low. So I personally like the fact that VeVe's kind of doing a lot of this stuff under the radar, because it's a project that is so undervalued. And when we do have that next run and you start to have people, because we're going to have the exact same thing that happened last run, where we have people researching coins, trying to figure out how to make money. They're going to come across OMI, or they're going to come across the collectibles. Then they're going to buy in and they'll eventually become fans. The same thing will happen. It will just be on a larger scale. So if you can be patient with things, provided that the competition doesn't get ahead, then as the active users on the platform right now, we will benefit the most, because we're able to capitalize on the opportunity for longer. Now, in terms of some of the services they provide, I will link their website in the description. A lot of it's very technical, so I don't want to bore you guys, but they do have 88 zones strategically located across 29 regions in the world, providing reliable commuting support for billions of customers. And in addition to all that, they are also going to offer solutions for networking, storage, monitoring, management, IoT or Internet of Things, the blockchain, and more. Now, speaking of their blockchain services, I thought it'd be a good idea to break down exactly what they offer in that space, considering, that's where VeVe is. So they offer something called blockchain as a service, to enable businesses to leverage the benefits of blockchain technology without having to build and maintain the underlying infrastructure themselves. So it's pretty much what we were talking about with the cloud computing services, but for the blockchain. So they offer a blockchain platform, which allows businesses to deploy and manage blockchain networks. They offer scalability and performance. So the underlying infrastructure is designed to handle a large number of transactions. And they also support enterprise-grade blockchain applications. Their blockchain services are going to integrate with other services, which allow businesses like VeVe to build comprehensive solutions. They offer smart contract support. So for anyone who doesn't know what a smart contract is there a contract on the blockchain that can execute automatically based off the parameters that you set within that contract. So businesses can develop and deploy these contracts on their blockchain platform. And then they also offer security and trust. So they provide various security measures, including data encryption, identity management, and access controls. So what exactly does this mean for VeVe? Is this a positive or a negative thing? Well, I think the answer is pretty obvious here. It's a positive thing. Again, nothing is set in stone. An MOU is a Memorandum of Understanding. All it does is it signifies that both companies want to work together. They have the intention of doing it, but it doesn't mean they're actually going to. Now, provided that VeVe does actually sign a contract with Alibaba, their cloud services will provide the company with enhanced infrastructure, as well as enhanced scalability, meaning VeVe will be able to promote and grow and expand in other regions because they'll have the resources capable of managing the new users from these regions who would then come on the app and perform transactions themselves. For anyone who was on the app in the early days, you experienced the app crashing multiple times. And that's just because their servers back then were not strong enough. I remember them actually putting out tweets being like, we're currently upgrading our servers as we speak. So it's partnerships like this that'll allow them to avoid stuff like that, which obviously when you're bringing in masses of people, you don't want to have. They're going to receive technical support from Alibaba, which is something that a small company like VeVe could benefit a lot from. And last but not least, with VeVe strengthening their infrastructure, growing as a company, that's obviously more appealing to potential licensors, which can help VeVe form new partnerships down the line. Now, there is a lot more that I could talk about with regards to this topic. So if you guys do like this video, let me know down below, because there are many different areas that I can still dive into to further understand Alibaba Cloud, but also to understand how Alibaba Cloud can positively impact VeVe down the line. I wanted to make sure that today's video wasn't overly complicated. I'm hoping that people like myself who don't have a computing background can understand this video. So please also let me know whether it was easy to follow or not down below, because if I do end up doing a part 2, I'll take all of that into consideration. So ladies and gents, that's going to conclude today's episode. I hope you enjoyed. Again, we do have a new country that just joined the GCU, Mexico. So if you guys are interested in grabbing that, you can do so using the link down below. We talked about what the cloud is. We talked about who Alibaba Cloud is. We talked about what cloud services are, what some of the services Alibaba offers, as well as some of the ways that this potential partnership can benefit VeVe. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys enjoy the content, make sure to like and subscribe. Comment down below what you want to see in a future episode. And as for our next, I'll catch you then.